Welcome back to the Be Ruthless Show. I'm your host, Sam Ruth, and joining me today is Shallan Rose Ertl, who brings 15 years of hands-on caregiving experience to her role as Director of Care PRN, a private duty caregiver organization committed to serving individuals with dignity and compassion. As a single mother to her 9-year-old daughter, Shallan understands the profound importance of balancing care and connection both at home and in her work. Her faith and active involvement in her local church inspire her daily, shaping her purpose-driven approach to leadership and life. Shallan's story is one of service, strength, and a deep desire to uplift those around her. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Samantha Roof, for having me. Thank you very much.
We were just starting to talk about this conversation being a little bit taboo, and one people don't want to have, which is the ones that I care about the most.
Yes. Finding caregivers for sure. It's not something that anyone really wakes up and thinks about unless you need it. So
I feel like with grief, hospice care, people who are fortunate enough to find that and have people around them, not that you want to go through it, they receive more support than someone who has an unexpected trauma. And that's why I say fortunate. The unexpected, there's less support available. So having a caregiver, having support, having hands-on people that you can choose to be by your side for the loved ones in your world matters. So it is an important conversation, and you get to dictate who and what you want where.
yes, yeah, it's very important and really I can see, how someone that it is almost at the end of the day, not so much of a privilege when you get that you're going on hospice diagnosis, but it's almost like you have that foresight to know, okay, this is it. How am I going to spend the rest of my time here? What resources are readily available versus that instant you don't know, and you don't wake up tomorrow, so you don't really get the gift of the caregiver in that aspect is where you were leading us, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Just to support, the providers doing the work for you. Whereas someone who has an unexpected loss is left to say, what do I do? Who do I turn to? You're already going through trauma, and then you have the burden of looking when your brain is in crisis. So having caregivers at your side to take stress off of your plate
Yeah.
is a resource.
Yes. Yep. So that's kind of how I've been partnering with families in the area. A lot of individuals that will call looking for caregivers for their loved ones. They're working individuals like you and I. They're individuals either, putting their children through college at this time. They didn't expect to get the call saying mom and dad can't be home alone anymore. So, you know, there's so many different resources to locate these caregivers, but I think companies like mine who specialize in partnering with longevity as caregivers, caregivers that have been in the field for 5+ years and decided like this is what they want to do with their lives, coming alongside people, sitting in the mud with them really in some of the most awful circumstances that individuals can go through. Um, so finding the right individual, the right personality, someone that you can really age in place with is key. And that is what I do. If I could be in every household myself, and I always talk to my co-director Haley about this, if we could be in every household for every individual that comes to us with these needs, we would be. But because we cannot, we foster the relationships with the caregivers in the community to help connect them to families that are in need.
I mean, think about how much work you put into choosing if you are going to leave your daughter, right? I mean, it's who
Yeah.
we are trusting our loved ones with when we can't be there. And have said to you a handful of times in the short time we've known each other, I haven't found a company like yours. And I've been in my field for over 27 years, if we count interning, and all the places I've worked, there's turnover in caregivers. There's
Yeah.
just turnover in that field. Um, it's it's difficult work. So for you to say 5+ years,
Yeah.
that's an important statistic.
Yes. Yeah. It's very important to partner with individuals that, the caregiving field in general, you fall into it for a multitude of reasons, but I've found, talking to caregivers, one of two reasons. One, you've fallen into caregiving because you've been a caregiver for your loved one, your grandparents, your parents, someone that you love, and your time with them is up, and you still have a lot more to give. You end up partnering with neighbors, with your friends, family members, other people in the community, and then eventually someone's tapping your shoulder asking for more help, and you found yourself in the middle of your career. Another reason people get into caregiving is they're looking to become a nurse, they're looking to become a doctor. And a lot of, schooling organizations will recommend, let's get you some bedside manner in, let's get you some servitude in the community, to see if, is this something that you can do? Can you come along people when they're sick, when they're vulnerable, and be a resource to them? So that's the types of caregivers I've come across. And there is, unfortunately, people fall into it and then they get stuck in it for the wrong reasons. There are people that get burnt out. They don't have the resources from management, from individuals like myself advocating for them. And it's very important to have a team of, managers that understand what our caregiving professionals are doing on a daily basis, so that they can get the things that they need to keep filling others.
That's the biggest piece, working somewhere that you're supported, whatever field you're in, having people to go to. If you are in a giving field, you need to have that team to turn to. I always had like case conference meetings and people to turn to. And when I left and worked for myself, I knew I needed to create that. And so when I run into others who work on their own and they don't have that, that's the first thing I say, like, let's find a place where you can connect with other professionals. We have to be able to lean on others and get that support, because we are doing a lot. They are in homes giving all hours, and to not be able to have people to say, I'm tired. That was a hard, or whatever the case, whatever the case may be. It's exhausting, and too many do not have companies that give that ear, let alone what your company does. So I love that that's the first thing you said. I've never seen a company like yours. I've only heard the stories, of I have to leave. I'm getting no support. I have no one to turn to. They're not answering my calls. And I want people to leave a toxic environment. It doesn't mean they don't love what they do.
Right. Right. One of the things that makes us unique too is how we partner with individuals in the community. I know that you've mentioned Elisa Tobias. We do partner with individuals like her, those, really seasoned senior navigators that are here with us, boots on the ground, seeing what's going on a daily basis, participating actively in family crisis intervention. That's, we try to be an asset to individuals like them as well, and really a great referral source. One of the reasons I have to touch on why our organization is so different is because of our owners. We were launched by a doctor and a nurse back almost 10 years ago. We've been going on 7 active years in the community as an organization, Metro Detroit. And Jason Wolf, who I really wanted to touch on, is who has inspired this in his caregiving team. He was a nurse. He actually passed away very suddenly back in August of 2023. So it's really shaken our organization in a way, but really brought us closer together in a lot of ways as well. So he launched CarePRN because he needed help in his own home with his grandfather. So him and his partner, who is our current owner today, they got together and said, what can we do? We're unable to locate great caregivers that are being treated well by their organization. What do? We know what needs to be done here as caregiving professionals ourselves. Jason had been a CNA in the field. That's actually where I had met him, my first caregiving job in the community. He trained me at the young age of 19 years old back then, how to be a professional caregiver within a senior living community, right? And before I had been caregiving for my grandparents, and that's my story. That's how I got into caregiving. And it was more of a natural calling for me. I loved being of service to our community, especially our elders who had, spent so much time pouring into who, this great nation is, right? So Jason launched, his main premise was taking care of caregivers. That's where we got the title Caregiver of Caregivers. Whether you are a professional caregiver, punching a clock, doing this for your community, it's more than a job at that point, or you find yourself taking care of your loved one at home, you are a caregiver and someone has to take care of you. Someone has to be there to listen to your overwhelming, moments, your burnout. How do I navigate this situation? Mom and dad have been diagnosed with this. How do you face this? What step of the way, can you meet someone at to make their outcome better, right? So Jason, he poured all of that into us here at CarePRN. And though he is gone, we're able to continue that because of the fire that he's ignited here. And that's part of the reason I still partner with CarePRN to this day. I'm able to open the gate for other caregivers to look towards other solutions in their caregiving career, partner with people on a one-on-one organic level, and really, help senior outcomes, help people age in place and stay safe.
My dad lost his sister. God, it might have been a year at this point. And finding the right, before she went into hospice, we did want someone who would come into her home for these hours to help with these things, because she wanted to be home with her animals, and they wanted to be there with her. But it was certain things, right? Like helping with the dogs and helping with cooking the meals she wants, and not necessarily the things they want to cook.
Right.
So it was difficult. Many places say we will come between these hours only. And how do people find you, whether it is to hire, or if it's somebody listening saying, oh my, like, I would love to work. How do you hire? What do you do if somebody's interested in this field, and saying, that sounds amazing. I've never heard of being treated this way.
Right. If someone's interested in partnering with what we're doing here, they can join in a multitude of ways. Obviously, we have, because of the nature of what we're doing, we try to partner with people that have the experience, that can look at any kind of caregiving situation and know what to do. And then they also have to be able to pass a rigorous background check as well. But aside from all of the preliminary things, just, being interested as a caregiver, wanting to partner and help the community through us, they can go online, careprn.com, and they can fill out a online application, or they could email a resume to info@careprn.com, and we would then be able to look over it internally and set them up with a virtual interview first, and then an in-person second interview, just so I could get a better feel for who they are and what they're looking for, what kind of individuals they have experience taking care of, things like that.
At 19, you didn't have all of that. If
No,
somebody at that age
I
is
was
going, "Oh my god," like, what about somebody who has those type of questions saying, "How do
right.
you get started?"
If they're looking to get into this for the first time, I would suggest partnering with our local assisted living facilities at that point, because they do have the resources to train. I would say baby 19-year-old Shallan, who was looking at it like, oh, these are all of my grandparents and I'm just here to help. I was very naive at that point. I had the heart and I was able to learn, but I got knocked down a lot emotionally as a caregiver because I didn't know what I was getting into at that point. And I would say, for any individual to create the best outcome for the individual getting paired with our caregiver, we want to make sure that you are prepared and you're ready for this. And the journey is something that you take together with the person you're helping. I hope that answered.
There are in this field, we hurt with
We
our
do.
client. I say clients, you probably say patients, but
Yeah,
that's why having the
families.
team,
Yeah.
there is, and with your population, you see, I get them after they've gone through the loss, but you're seeing a lot of loss.
Yes. We're really partnering with people that they get the news that they get to go home, but they get to go home and it looks completely different from what they are used to, right? So a lot of individuals that we're coming into contact with, they get the news they're in rehab, they're getting to get discharged, but their independence has been taken from them completely. They're excited to leave and go home, but now they have to share their home with strangers at that point if they want to stay there. If they don't have the resource to stay home, then people are being met with, well, you're unsafe to go home. Can you move in with a family member, or do you have to be placed into one of these assisted living organizations? So I would say, getting the community plugged in to the right resources is key, obviously, but
I'm so fortunate to know people like you and to bring people on to say places like this exist. I feel at this point, unfortunately, there are more of the ones that don't work as closely with finding the perfect match and having everyone trained more than 5 years. So if there are people feeling burnt out and feeling like they don't have someone to lean on, they don't have that team, that boss, that supervisor, that, thank goodness for Jason for following his heart and creating something like this. I feel so grateful to have places like you out there, but until there are places like this everywhere, what can someone do who isn't feeling heard, who isn't feeling
right. If you're
supported?
unable, yes, if you're unable to get, across what you need to get across in your current organization, I would implore those caregivers to be the change in their organization. I myself, I I had to be the change in order to make a difference for a small amount of caregivers here, right? In Michigan. However, there's small things that you can do. Finding the right individual in administration in your organization to talk to bring things up to is going to help. There will be people that care. It's just you have to find the right person that cares. And if you're looking, you know, at your current job and you're not finding the change you need to leave. You have to either create the company yourself that you're looking for, or find one that's already doing it that you can then add, your positivity to at that point. And then I would say for families that, perhaps that they don't have the fortune to partner with a company like mine, and perhaps they're looking to do private hires, or maybe they're looking through care.com. I would say just meeting with the person. Don't just hire anyone that looks good on paper. Sit down with them a few times. Be present with them and your loved one for the first couple, shifts that they're working with your loved one. Whether they're just coming to help meal prep, help with medication reminders, perhaps it's just maybe a standby shower assist. Being present and letting a caregiver know, hi, I'm the family involvement here, it really sets the stage in that good communication. So they know if they see something when they're with your loved one, they know, I already have that relationship with the daughter. I can communicate with her. Or I already know the son, I have him on speed dial. I'm going to let him know what I'm seeing with his mom. So just the more involved you can be with that caregiver you're hiring for that individual, it'll help with the best possible outcome. If you do not have the means to hire a private caregiver and you do have to kind of settle for a caregiving community, they can be great as well. The more that you're able to be present there, it doesn't even matter what it looks like. It could be the most beautiful facility, but we don't know what's going on the inside with the caregivers, right? The more you can be present, showing up and getting your own set of eyes on situations, the better the care is going to be for your loved one, no matter where they are.
I always said, like we have to be a part of the team.
Mhm.
They have to know, like, don't have to call all of these people and not me too. I'm on that list.
Yeah. I've worked for many organizations, many managers that shouldn't have been in the field. They don't really know how to advocate for the caregivers. And it's easy then for caregivers to feel small, to feel like what they're doing here doesn't make a difference. And that's the difference here. Caregiving in general, we're a bunch of empathetic individuals already. If we have strong leadership, it could change the outcome for so many individuals. Yeah.
I talk all the time. My brother and I, we're in 2 different states. My parents are in Michigan. He's with them physically more, but we have very different personalities and we need each other. And so there are things he's like, Sam, your turn, even though he is on site emotionally, he just, like, I'm the communicator. I'm the one that can handle much more of the advocating, and and he's the one that's going to be Googling and researching and doing, like, choosing between those types of things. So it takes both of us, and if we need to both be present, then he's going to hold me up on a phone.
That makes sense. Yeah. No, I think if siblings can work together, a lot of times, statistically speaking, the eldest daughter, which I am, anything that happens with the parents, it falls on the eldest daughter. If I am speaking to any sibling cohorts right now, or any families that can work together, the more that you can just call in and check in with each other during these processes, the better. The more support you give each other, the better it's going to be for your parents or loved ones.
And each other, right? Like, he's physically there, and I don't want him to think it's all, like, he really, like, running errands, he does more. Bad weather, he's running and getting groceries so my mom doesn't have to leave the house. But he's like, oh, I will take that any day over the emotional stuff you do. Like, I don't want to trade. And I'm thinking to myself, good God, I don't want to run the errands. Like, like, so we both feel at times, is he doing too much? Is she doing too much? And so it is equal, and we couldn't do it without the other. And when I'm there, he gets to take off and go hang out with his friends and be like, they're all yours. Here are my
Yeah.
daughters. You get mom and dad, and I'll see ya.
That's almost where if you could partner with a caregiver, that they would almost come into play and help alleviate some of that burden. So when you are in town, you know that your trusted companion's already taking care of the errands. It's their job to take care of those things. So that way, when you are visiting your loved one or your parent, it's more you get to be their kid again and you're just visiting. You're not having to take care of those nuances that you're already doing for yourself, you know?
Well, when's the right time to bring someone in? That's an important conversation because
Yes.
many resist, and it doesn't have to. I talk all the time about if we wait until the crisis, we are all hurting longer, and
Yeah,
we can be proactive. And if we take Tylenol at the onset of a headache, it works better than if we wait until we're in agony.
right. We should not be waiting until we've already fallen at this point. I think as individuals, especially if as anyone that is considering help listening right now, just being real with yourself, realizing everyone knows, ooh, I probably shouldn't have taken that walk to the garage by myself and taken those steps, or I should probably grab my walker. No matter what age you are a fall away from a broken hip, especially as women with the osteoporosis, everything, right? So early intervention, meeting a companion or a caregiving professional early before you need them would be amazing, right? But we don't always have that luxury. A lot of our people, you know, we partner with people at all stages. So it could be someone that is just realizing I shouldn't drive anymore and I just need someone to be my wheels. I need to partner with someone that can get me out of the house, that will show up for my doctor appointments, want to take me grocery shopping so I don't have to navigate the Uber or, something like that as many of our clients would say. Um, so it could be anything. It could be just realizing that you'd like someone to come help you with your laundry because going up and down the stairs has been taxing and your laundry's been piling up. So someone could come in for a couple hours a week and help you with laundry or, to help you keep those doctor appointments, take you to and from doctor appointments. Things that you would be calling your sibling or your husband or your children for to help you with, that's when you should start thinking about maybe I should partner with a caregiving professional here that can help guide me through this process.
And I just wrote myself notes because everything is different by state.
Yeah,
Colorado added some laws, but grief hab exists because when I sold our house in Denver, and I was moving, and this was almost 2.5 years after losing Jim, I used dear friends to help, thank goodness. And she took care of everything. It like
okay.
more than a realtor because I hadn't at that point gone through his closet, done any of those things. And I said, like, I needed help with everything. And then unpacking and at that point in time, I was 46 probably.
Yeah,
So living alone, being a widow, when trauma changes our brain, things that you're saying right now, it's making me think of some of my clients and the
yeah,
things that I still, at this point in time now, 51 years old, want help with. And I say grief is a medical diagnosis with a badge of honor because there are things in this world that I am entitled help with and will
absolutely.
accept readily because he's not here.
Hmm.
And I am allowed assistance with certain things that my family's across the country.
I have this conversation almost every day with people saying, I can do this still, but it's taxing and I'm not doing a very good job of it doing it myself every day, but I can do it. And that's when I partner with them and I say, on the days you want to do it yourself, you do it yourself. But on the days that you feel like you can't make your breakfast and then you just forgo eating, then you get weak, let me come and make breakfast with you and hang out, and we'll turn on your favorite, show, and I'll make you coffee, and we'll sit down together and we'll start your day together. You fill your pill box all by yourself every time. That's wonderful. But let me help you. Let me take one thing off your plate. So the time that you do get to spend using your energy, let's do things that you love again. Right? That's the main thing. I just had the privilege of partnering with this woman in one of the facilities that my friend runs. Lee, actually, she runs that facility out here in Michigan. And the woman's been independent her whole life. She's in her hundreds. And she sat down with me and she's like, well, I see everyone getting a companion or a caregiver. And she's like, Shallan, I do everything myself already. Do I really need this? I see everyone with someone coming in. Do I need this too? And I had to sit here and talk with her. I was like, well, what do you want help with? And she's like, I can do everything myself, but writing out my holiday cards this year has been stressful. It's like, well, do you want someone to come help you write out holiday cards and help you get them to the post office? And she's like, well, yeah, that would be great. And that allowed her to take something off her plate that she allowed help with, right? And in time, it started with writing her holiday letters. And eventually, when she did need the help, she felt like she had enough of a relationship with that person to say, you know what? Every time I shower, it's a little scary. I'm afraid I'm going to fall. Can you sit outside the shower while I'm showering? And she was almost given permission at that point to ask for help and allowed to be vulnerable. We're human beings. We're allowed to say, I need help, right?
Yeah. So widows
Yeah.
who have no children, widows whose children are out of the home, mothers who have lost children, whose husbands are at work. Like, there are services. Going to the grocery store is the most difficult thing for people who have dealt with loss. So these are things that we can get assistance with. And a lot of people are like you said, I don't need the assist. Well, you know what? It's available when that time comes. When getting to the car is difficult and you don't want to slip. Medical stuff, every person at whatever point that you now have to go to the doctor's office and either don't have somebody to ask, you're in a new area. Now I have friends that I don't have to ask to drive an hour to go with me. But these things come up and you're already struggling. There are services available.
Yeah.
So it's not just age. It's who do I trust? Who is not going to take advantage of me in a crazy, vulnerable time already? And I'm people change price when they see widow or elderly.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to educate people on running that bill by someone before you just hire the first, because that really happens. And it's unfortunate, but it does. So, is this price the same for every person? or it's unfortunate, but having you there to make sure it's the accurate price is what can save the difference between someone just paying the first thing that comes through.
Right. Yeah. Doing research, the market of caregiving, in Michigan, what the prices are here could be a little bit different than your market average. And are you guys near Boulder, I'm assuming, or?
I'm a little bit north, but
northern. Okay. So it varies state to state, but I've seen companies charge anything from $28 per hour for reputable background checked caregiving professionals to $40 per hour, depending on the level of care that individual needs, and then the company supply and demand of their internal caregiving sources. We are very fortunate to have quite a large caregiving pool of individuals that have been attracted to our organization here in the Metro Detroit area. So the likelihood of being able to service someone at a good rate here is better than if I were to locate a caregiver. Not that I can, but if I were to locate a caregiver out of our service network, it might be a different charge at that point. But we are very transparent when it comes to everything. We're sitting down, we're having these conversations of what to expect. We as an organization are also proud to partner with your long-term care insurance that individuals have paid into, right? We're able to get them reimbursed for the care that they're utilizing if they have those insurances. Unfortunately, healthcare in general and normal Medicaid, Medicare, things like that, they don't cover these services. They might cover a discharge of a shower aid after you've had a hospital stay for maybe 2 to 3 weeks, but I do not see a lot of normal insurance, normal medical insurance covering these services at all, unfortunately. There are some really good individuals that caregive on their own as well, that more so freelance. If you run across an individual like that, you hold on to them like gold and you partner with them. So, yeah.
What else is there? Are there things I'm forgetting? I'm sure there are. Look for length of time. What else should people look for when they're checking who to hire?
Right. So yeah, just really looking at their background, doing a few good meetings, staying with them for the first. And I know you're hiring someone usually when you're burnt out because you've been doing all the caregiving on your own, but just staying there for that transition, making sure that they're, getting the quirks of your loved one, picking up things that you've already put into place so they know, and that transition is key there. Just honestly, just being involved, having that open line of communication. And if you know in your gut, I've had people, I thought they were going to be the best caregiver in the world, and they no call, no show on me. And it's not always I always like to do a follow-up, like, what happened? Did you get overwhelmed? Was it just not a good time for you in your life? When I do get the fortitude from the follow-ups, 9 times out of 10, it's just someone said yes to something that they shouldn't have said. Because again, we're caregivers at heart. We have that yes man mentality, and sometimes people sign up for more than they can chew. So just being really involved in the beginning stages of setting care up is essential here. And I can't stress that enough.
Thank you so much for everything you do. careprn.com, right?
Yes, careprn.com. You can email info@careprn.com. And that's just CAR and then PRN, which stands for as needed. Again, we connect you to caregivers, and we're really passionate about what we do. We try to connect you to caregivers that have the same hearts as we do, and continue on. So yeah, thank you so much for having me and letting me talk a little bit about my passions today, Samantha. It's been wonderful.
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you, everyone listening. And until next time, always be ruthless. Oh my goodness, my computer is Jim's here with us. It's in a mood.